My first exposure to vaping was like this commercial that I saw as a kid where essentially it was for like people addicted to cigarettes, where you can get e-cigarettes and essentially you would use that as a way of replacing your cigarettes with like these electric cigarettes or the e-vapes or whatever. And I remember thinking as a child like, "Oh, that's so cool. We can find a way to essentially get over the addiction and find like a replacement." Because that's typically what you hear with addiction is like you try to replace it, or like if you have a bad habit, you try to replace the bad habit with something more positive and try instead of trying to completely get rid of the habit. But one thing I did not realize that would happen as a kid is that somehow this whole e-cigarette thing would be like normalized with my generation, because I feel like we grew up understanding, because I'm Gen Z by the way, we grew up understanding that cigarettes and all that stuff is like really bad for you. And honestly, we're honestly getting to the point where we don't even like alcohol like that. But like everyone knew cigarettes were bad for you. Like I, as a kid, especially was very against it because my father in particular, he did cigarettes. And a funny story is apparently I was part of the reason that he quit doing cigarettes because I don't know why I did this as a kid. Well, I know why. Where he said I kept on telling him to stop, and I told him that he would die of cancer, and I kept on bringing that up to him as a kid. And that's the level of like dedication that I really wish I would come back to when it comes to get someone to do a bad habit. Because nowadays, as an adult, I kind of just let people be. But as a kid, I just had such a boldness to tell my dad, hey, stop doing these cigarettes or you're going to die of cancer. And I'm not going to have a father. Right. And I just, to me, what shocks me is how vaping became popular because, like, we understand cigarettes is bad for you. And, like, you'll ask even people who vape, like, they would never smoke a cigarette. Like, a lot of them weren't. But it's like, I feel like a lot of them missed the point that, like, the whole point of why cigarettes were so bad wasn't just the fact that like you were inhaling like smoke into your lungs. Like obviously it's horrible. It was the fact that you were being addicted to nicotine. And nowadays we live in a world where so many people are vaping and addicted to nicotine all over again. Like sure, I'm never going to be one of those people who thinks vaping is as bad as cigarettes because I really don't. Like I still hold the opinion that if you're trying to quit cigarettes and you replace it with vaping, I do think that can be a good way to like get over that addiction. However, you have to eventually throw away the vape, which I know my dad, when he stopped quitting smoking, he started vaping, right? And for a bit, he basically eventually got over the vaping. And then he came back into vaping. I'm not sure if he's into vaping now. Because my father lives in a completely different state, so I'm not always around him. But like what I don't understand is like what is the appeal of vaping? Like it's such a waste of time. And don't get me wrong, people act in illogical ways all the time. Like at least with stuff like weed, like I can kind of get it because like weed does have like mind altering effects and like it can be used as a form of health and it can make you feel a certain type of way. But like I just don't understand the appeal of vaping because it feels like one of those addictions that like has no purpose to exist. Now don't get me wrong, addiction to substances and like drugs or whatever, it's not good either way, but at least when someone gets addicted to some hard drug, it's kind of obvious why they got into it because it's like it helps so much. But vaping, you're just coughing like weird, like, fruit flavored gas into your, yeah, I don't know, into your throat or something. And like I remember at high school, we would have like, or in high school, we would have all these kids who would like gather around in their vape circle at the school bathroom. And I always thought that's weird. And just like I don't understand because like we know, like, come on, everyone can figure vaping is not good for you. Like other than the fact that like you're addicted to nicotine, like in the ad I remember where it's like, that's metal in your lungs. That one basically got people, apparently I guess it puts metal in your lungs, but I don't know, maybe it doesn't make sense to me because like drinking alcohol I can kind of understand, right? Because it makes you feel something. And it's like I guess vaping helps the people feel something, but it's such a waste of time and addiction. And I find vapors to be some of the most annoying people. Not so much in the fact of like their attitude. Like if I'm like talking to a vaping person, I don't think many vaping people are obnoxious in terms of personality. It's just the fact that like I'll be around you, like, because I remember my dad and my stepmom used to be really into vaping, and like I'd be talking to them, and I get this puff of like I don't know, cinnamon toast flavored vape. I think he had one that was Captain Crunch flavored, like in my like nose, and I was just like, oh, this is like obnoxious. Like, why do you guys want gas like in your brain and in your nose all to like? What is the point of this? Because it's like I feel like people who are into vaping, this is going to be like, I guess, my hot take, legitimately don't have a good hobby in their life. Because I feel like if you pick up good hobbies, you're less likely to do certain substances. Now, that doesn't apply with everything. Like, for example, there's a lot of people who have done LSD who are like really good at music. But I feel like for most normal people, like maybe people who aren't like super artsy, I guess, but like vaping doesn't help your artness. Like at least with LSD, I can see, oh yeah, like having these crazy colors you see like might inspire you. I'm not encouraging people to do LSD, but like I can understand it. And it kind of just gets to me because it's just like I feel like you just don't have enough hobbies or something fun you do, so that's why you distract yourself. Because like, don't get me wrong, life is really really hard, and it's very difficult not to want to distract yourself from like the horrors of life. But like to me, it's just like I feel like people who turn to stuff like vaping or even with weed, like assuming you're not doing it for medical purposes, I just assumed like, is there not something more fun you can do? Because like for me, besides like playing video games, like my big hobby, and really I want to make it my profession one day, is like my art. So it's like if I'm feeling bored or I feel like I'm not doing anything today, like I can always turn back to art. Like I don't need something to kind of take my mind off. I will admit I do consume way too much sugar, and that I do kind of use to like take my mind off things just because I don't know. I like to have something unique to drink. I'm trying to drink more water and not drink as much caffeine, but that's a whole nother thing. But just vaping to me is just such like a weird. I don't know how it became popular amongst Gen Z. Like it almost feels like every generation needs like a new addiction or something to like get hooked on. It's like because like back in the day we had opioid and then we had cigarettes and now we have like vaping and stuff like that. And the pill is just confusing to me because like personally when it comes to like dating, I don't think I could ever date someone who's like into vaping. Like that's one of those things where I see it and I'm like, ooh, that's a red flag. Like unless they're trying to quit, then I would probably be more fair. Whereas funny enough, with like weed, even on I'm not really on that. Like I don't really see any interest in getting on weed, right? I don't think that would be a complete deal breaker on the girl unless she's like a complete stonehead. But like if she does it occasionally, I'm just kind of like, whatever. But I don't know. That's just my take on things. I just really don't understand the appeal of vaping. But I hope you guys have a great day.